God. Anyway, thank you very much for the opportunity to present. It came as a surprise, but very welcome. Haere oki oki. Just paying respects to those that have passed on. I come from you today in the Ngāti Pro. I've done that because someone in your government approved Rocket Lab, and when they fly, it interferes with our communications and we don't get our connectivity out there. It becomes non-existent. My house is below Maunga Kahia. Maunga Kahia is our mountain for Rongamai Waitangi, and so my house is positioned below that hill. I come to you today as an owner of 3C4A1, which is Nuku Taurua Whenua, and I do that on behalf of my family. I'm hoping that you've read my submission because I don't intend to repeat it. And I know you have a lot of work in front of you and a lot of submissions. I'm just going to leave that part there. The emphasis of my kōrero basically is this. In Article 1, in my mind, it talks about Māori welcoming non-Māori Pākehā aha Orane to our shores to live with us. In Article 2, it expresses what our taonga are, and you fellas leave it alone. In Article 3, it talks about those that arrive, you've been unruly, so hey, you have a government to look after yourselves. Because we got our side sorted. The reason why I'm saying this is because this treaty principles bill, in my view, fails at the first hurdle. Because it is predicated on the Pākehā version of Te Tiriti o Waitangi, which is completely different from the Māori signed version. And therefore, it's based on an anonymous, it is based on a misfact, and therefore, that continues to predicate the bill and its predecessor, as I understand it. Why I'm saying that is because I actually believe that if such a bill was to be presented to government, actually, you're talking about the constitutional arrangement that Rongamai Wahine have with the Crown. You cannot, therefore, an ordinary MP, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, but that's how it's signed off, this bill, as an MP, an ordinary MP then interfering with our constitutional arrangements. When in fact, if that is the case, that constitutional kōrero must happen between the Crown and Rongamai Wahine. That's how I view this. So, following on from that, the emphasis I want to place here as a select committee, I would ask you to consider that as part of your feedback to Parliament, that whenever bills arrive, and if they have a constitutional arrangement effect, then that be managed in a different way rather than a select committee process. Because that undermines the relationship, not the partnership, the relationship. Because partnership means one partner can divorce the other. Well, that's not what the Te Tiriti o Waitangi says. It says we're in this together. Now, your together, different people's together, might be separate from my together. Your together might mean Parliament is their sovereign. Might disagree with you on that point, as I've heard previous submitters submit. Partnership is that context. Relationships are enduring, they are long-lasting, and they are for the benefit of both parties. This Treaty Principles Bill is nowhere near that description. So that's the emphasis of my kōrero today, is to express those views. And I can just tell you, I'm just a simple man. 1 + 1 = 2 to me, and that's how I like to keep things, so that we understand without any underlying kōrero. I'm going to leave it there and allow, Mr. Chair, I should go through you, of course, allow you the opportunity to offer questions.
Tēnā koe. Thank you for your opening statement. Thank you for reminding committee members to go through the chair. It's a helpful reminder to everyone. Hey, look, I'm pretty relaxed. Let's go to Todd Stevenson. We've got time for a few questions. Todd Stevenson, then Ruhana Linden.
Thank you for your presentation, and thanks for the effort of travelling. We appreciate that. You gave your outline of what you thought the three articles of the treaty were, and I quite like the simplicity with which we went through them. But do you think there is a benefit in actually trying to codify the articles of the treaty so we actually do have some agreement on what they mean as a country?
I think that's a discussion between the Crown and Rangatira Māori. It's not a discussion, I believe, at any lower level, because, in my view, that would be interfering with the constitutional arrangements for Aotearoa. Now, remember what's happening across the world. They're having problems with their constitutional arrangements because they're being interfered with. So all I'm suggesting to you, this kōrero on the Treaty Principles Bills and everyone's opinion needs to occur at a level where then you have consensus. Currently, this is dabbling, in my opinion.
Thanks. Now we'll go to Ruhana, and then we've got a question from Tracy McLeod.
Tēnā koe te matua, e mahia tuana kia koe I tēnei ata mō wō kōrero. I wanted to explore what the Te Tiriti relationship looks like from your tribal perspective, and how you've been working in this space for a long time around being good treaty partners, but really you've been doing it on the ground for a long time. And how can this committee learn from those long and enduring relationships that have been developed as tangata whenua and tangata tiriti from your perspective?
I'll go straight to the point, and it's resource allocation. So when the economics of our country change, it impacts on those outliers. We are outliers. We are isolated. We sit in fear. We don't have any supports out at Rongo Waitangi, none whatsoever. Some of our people live on contractual arrangements through the various social enterprises, such as WINS, such as pensions and those sorts of things. Now, that's not a position anyone wants to be in, let alone tangata whenua. So my response to you would be, what is the relationship the Crown seeks to have with Rongo Waitangi? That's the question.
So we'll go, final question from Tracy McClellan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for your submission. I was just reflecting on Todd Stevenson's earlier question about codifying the articles, and it struck me that isn't that exactly what the principles that have developed over the last 50 years have sought to do, given the murkiness of some people's prior interpretation of te tiriti and the fact that the Crown's refusal to honour it in any way, shape or form leading up to that time left a vacuum. So why do you think that others now, do you have any thoughts on why people are so very keen and very exercised all of a sudden to want to codify the articles instead of just honouring what has been established via the principles?
Very wide-ranging question. The obvious answer would be for benefit of particular individuals. What I would say to you, why wouldn't people want to codify, if that's their preference, te tiriti o Waitangi, the Māori version? Try codifying that, not the Pākehā version, because the Pākehā version is different from the Māori version. The translation is totally different, and therefore it goes back to what I was saying earlier. Any codifying of that is codifying on the basis of incorrect information. That can't be good for anybody.
No, thank you. Thank you for your time this morning and for answering the committee's questions. We appreciate you being with us. And
that's actually good. I like the bit before getting to the nitty gritty. We have to go elsewhere and do the submission because when they launch a rocket, we have our communications go out.
Yeah, I like that. I like that submission. I thought that was a cracker.
Yeah. Was that coming from a council chamber or somewhere, or a conference room?
I think that might have been coming from a council chamber, maybe somewhere on the east coast there.
Yeah, I'm feeling Wairoa.
I'm not sure exactly, but yeah, I think that might have been, because we all know there's not particularly great internet coverage up there on the east coast. So I think
once you get out of the towns, you are so right. I mean, I actually remember when I left Napier on the way to Wairoa and literally seeing hardly any cell phone bars all the way through. And I mean, it's probably a bit better now thanks to the rural broadband upgrade.
Yep.
But like, basically, it's just like, I mean, devil's elbow. I'm pretty certain that is a cell phone black spot.
Yeah.
I mean, because it would be an absolute nightmare trying to run fibre to a cell phone tower inside the gully, which hopefully could be completely removed soon with a new road.
So I think, yeah, that was potentially someone coming into town to have their voice heard, which I think is pretty a big commitment. Obviously, that's
it's like us going to Parliament to do submissions in that same context.
That's right. Yeah.
No, it's interesting about stating that. Was it about having? Was it the land? Was it tangata whenua to provide for their people, not to rely on Crown services like WINS?
Yeah, exactly.
I think that was about a very interesting talk about self-sufficiency, which ironically is something that ACT really often sits and talks about. That's what they believe everyone should be on.
Well, that is what they talk about, yeah. But as long as it doesn't
rely on achievement, that's another story.
Te tiriti, yeah, on an honest relationship with te tiriti, which is something that they seem to be so, vehemently against through this bill.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed to our Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok. Who's got the order paper podcast? YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok. Who's got the order paper podcast?